Yo, what's going on, dudes? HK Titan here with a brand new video for you guys, and it's finally here. Update 40 is here that comes with a brand new hero, a brand new expert maps, boss challenges, and a bunch of reworks with the BTD6 map editor, which you guys already know I am super stoked about. And along with all of that, we also get 5 new quests and 5 new achievements, plus new trophy and team items as well. There's also a bunch of balance changes that we'll be checking out towards the end of the video, but the first thing I want to check out is of course going to be the new hero Corvus. So Corvus is actually a pretty sick hero. Now it's definitely a complicated hero at that. It's going to take a little bit of getting used to because it is a high skilled hero in order to actually use it. So the first thing with Corvus is going to be his ability right here. What this site does is it actually harvests balloons in order to replenish that mana. So let me go ahead and show you guys what I mean really quick. So with Corvus's spells, when we activate his scythe, his mana is going to refill. So that's what I mean by Corvus's scythe will replenish his mana. Now, along with Corvus's scythe ability of being able to harvest mana, he also has a secondary ability that he gets at level 10 called Dark Ritual. And this will create a burst of flames around him that kind of is similar to the scythe, but it will also collect a bunch of mana as well. So we have 2 different abilities to collect mana, and then on top of that, you also can just like pop balloons in the radius of Corvus in order to build up his mana as well. So we don't need to rely only on his scythe to like store up mana, because we can also store up mana just by like having other towers pop balloons within the radius of Corvus as well. Now, along with the Dark Ritual and the scythe, we also have a third ability that is kind of similar to the Dark Knight, where we can teleport, or not the Dark Knight, but the Dark Champion, where we can teleport Corvus anywhere on the map. And this is actually a pretty solid ability, especially if you're like trying to like come up with some pretty crazy strats where you have to like harvest balloons, activate different spells, and you need Corvus to be on or in different spots of the map in order to harvest mana. So like I was saying, this is definitely a complicated hero to use, but it's definitely going to be a fun hero to use. Now let's go ahead and get into Corvus's spells. Now Corvus's spells are really unique, right? So all of his spells on the top pass, if you cast them, they will stay active unless you dismiss them. And the entire time they're active, they're going to be eating away at your mana. So that's something that you need to keep in mind while you're playing the game, is that you make sure that you don't forget to dismiss when you don't need the ability active, and make sure that you're always like refilling his mana. So right now, because we have a Corvus and we have the Crossbow Master, our Corvus's mana is actually staying pretty full. But say your Corvus is a lower level and you don't have like a Crossbow Master to like back it up, like you'll definitely have to make sure that you don't overuse his mana, because then Corvus could end up being in a little bit of trouble. Now, another thing about the top layer abilities is you can actually activate multiple abilities at the same time. And all of these abilities will eat through your mana much faster. So you'll have to keep that in mind, because the more mana that you're using, the more balloons that you need to have popped within the radius of Corvus. Now, as far as like the top pathway spells are concerned, the first spell here is called a Spear. And when we send a couple of balloons, when we activate the Spear spell, it's going to summon a bunch of spears, and it's going to increase the popping power of this little ghost. The next one is going to be Aggression. And this is going to turn, I believe this one is the one that turns our little spirit into a red dude, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. So this is going to increase his attack speed, and I believe it's going to increase his damage as well, because he does quite a bit of extra damage too. And then the third spell is going to merge the ghost with Corvus's spellbook, and it's going to create this giant ring around Corvus. So kind of similar to the top pathway monkey sub or the infernal ring. But obviously, it's not going to be as strong as the Infernal Ring or anything like that. And then the final spell is going to be Storm. So this one is, I'm not exactly sure how to explain it. He just like sends out a bunch of little shurikens that deal damage to a bunch of different balloons. So that one's a little bit more of, I believe, a RNG based ability, but it's still a pretty solid ability that does a lot of damage. Moving on to the second pathway. So the second pathway is a little bit different, because once you activate the spell, The spell will stay active for a certain amount of time, and then after the spell's ability uptime is over, then the spell will go on cooldown. So right now, the cooldown is pretty long for all of these spells. The cooldowns are like super long because there's a bunch of different spells that we can activate. So it's going to be like really important to like keep track of which spell you've already used and then which spell you need to activate in like your future rounds. So it's definitely going to be like managing a bunch of different cooldowns at the same time. The second spell for the second path is going to be Echo. And this is just going to create a second spirit. And with this second spirit, when you cast like another spell, the spell is going to apply to both spirits at the same time, which I thought was kind of cool and kind of unique as well. So we have two little angry dudes here. Man, like this spell is so cool. The third spell in the second pathway is going to be Haste. So Haste is going to increase the spirit's movements. So on like the higher tiered rounds, when the balloons are moving a little bit faster when you activate Haste, it just means that your spirit's going to move faster and it's going to be a little bit more precise. The fourth in the second pathway is going to be a relatively simple spell. It's going to be Trample that's going to activate or act kind of similar to Saw's Sword Charge. And it's going to cover the entire map. Now, one good thing about Trample is that it travels through the map super slow. So it's going to be able to do a little bit more damage than Saw's Sword Charge, if I'm not mistaken. Moving on to the first spell in the third row is going to be Frost spell. So this is going to freeze the balloons, kind of similar to an Ice Monkey, but this spell really doesn't last too long and it has a pretty long cooldown. So that's kind of going to be like a last minute, oh no, the balloons are going to slip by. I want to give my ghost a little bit more stall, if that makes sense. Moving on to the next one. The next one is going to be Ember. And this is going to allow our ghosts like place little like wall of fires on the map to do damage to all of the balloons. The third spell is going to be Ancestral Might. And what this is going to do is it's going to give all of the power over to Corvus, and he's going to summon this hand. And this hand deals a lot of damage, but it does attack pretty slow. And while the hand is active, the spirit is no longer on the screen because the spirit actually turns into that hand. Next is going to be Overload. So this is kind of like a explode with like Voltorb from Pokemon. It will actually explode our spirit, and then while the spirit is explode, he's not going to be able to do anything. You aren't really going to be able to use any spells other than a couple of support spells in the bottom of the map. So it'll take a little bit of time, but Corvus will eventually reform. And the bottom pathway is going to be a bunch of support spells. So the first spell is going to be Nourishment. So when we cast this, all of the mana that Corvus has saved up is going to be turned into experience. The next is going to be Soul Barrier. So when we cast Soul Barrier, it's going to increase the amount of lives by the amount of mana that we have. So right now, because we have 462 mana, we have 462 extra lives for a maximum of 800 extra lives for a couple of seconds. So that could save us from like a Moab balloon slipping through. So it's a pretty solid ability. The next one is going to be a relatively simple one. This is just going to give our ghost camo detection. And then the final spell over here is going to be Recovery. When we cast Recovery, the spirit is no longer on the screen, but it's going to allow us to recover all of our spells at a faster rate. So it's going to reduce the cooldown of all of our spells. But remember, while this is activated, Corvus nor the spirit are going to be able to do anything. So that's something that you need to keep in mind before you activate the recovery spell. And I know we covered a lot here in the first part of the video, but Corvus is just a hero that has so many moving parts. It's absolutely ridiculous. So now that we've checked out Corvus, let's go ahead and check out a couple of other things that came out in this update. So we have a bunch of new trophy store items. We have the Pinata drop. We have the Capybara. We have the Pirate Turtle ZOMG that looks absolutely fantastic. So there's not really too many trophy store items that dropped in this update, but it's still a pretty solid update. But all of the trophy store items that did drop do look pretty good. Now we do have 5 new achievements. I've already unlocked, I believe, 4 of them, so they're not hard achievements to get. We also have a couple of new quests as well. We have experiments, so survive 6 special rounds on Dark Path. Intense balloon rounds, 30 rounds of concentrated balloons attacks. So this is something new with this update. I definitely want to check these out, so we'll definitely check these out in a future video. We have a couple of new tutorials, one for Corvus, We also have a new one for the first strike, I believe. I'm not exactly sure like which one's new and not. We don't have any new challenges, but we do have a new tail for the Dartling Gunner. This one's going to give us 1,000 monkey money, so I do believe this one should be pretty challenging. Next up, with this update, we did get a brand new expert map. So this map is really, really interesting. All right, guys. And I say that because there's a unique mechanic with this map that makes this map really unique. So when you place down a tower, from the moment you place down that tower, in 10 rounds, this tower is going to be frozen. So I'm going to go ahead and play one round really, really quick. And then in 10 rounds, I'll show you guys what happens in 10 rounds to this dart monkey in the very front of the map. So with this map, it's going to involve a little bit of strategy because you're going to have to like space out your tower placement. That way, all of your towers aren't like frozen at the same time. Because the moment all of your towers are frozen at the same time, the moment you're in trouble, right? Oh, and another thing I forgot to mention about Corvus is that Corvus's little spirit dude actually has global range. So kind of similar to Sai and kind of similar to Etienne as well with his drones. All right, so round 9, as soon as round 10 starts, this dart monkey is going to be frozen. So this dart monkey is no longer gonna be able to attack for 2 rounds. And because I placed down my Corvus on round 2, next round our Corvus is gonna be frozen. So we need to place down another tower for defense because our dart monkey is gonna be frozen for 2 rounds, and now our Corvus is gonna be frozen for 2 rounds as well. So that's the unique aspect of this map. Now, just because that is a unique aspect in this map, it doesn't mean that this map is gonna be too hard. It's just we're going to have to find 2 really strong towers that are good for late game, as well as a couple of towers that are good for early game too. Now, I have a couple of different ideas for the towers that we're going to use. It's just I don't know how well they're going to work out. So it's going to be really interesting to like try to come up with a combination of towers that are going to work on this map, especially for chimps. Moving on to the next big addition. First of all, Ninja Kiwi did end up fixing the events tab. So now the events tab looks much cleaner. It looks so much better now. And of course, they also added boss challenges. So with the boss challenges, you can take on any boss on any map in Bloons TD6. And yes, that is including the really short map Bloons. On top of that, Ninja Kiwi also added a timer. That way you guys can make sure that you guys don't miss out on any future events. And the final biggest part of the update has to come with the BTD6 map editor. So there's a lot of new things that came in this update. So this update video is going to be a little bit longer because I really want to showcase everything. So the first thing that we got is we have 3 new backgrounds. We have an ice background, we have a snow background, as well as we have this plain black background as well. Along with this, we also have some new background effects. We have a blizzard effect, as well as we have a slow snowfall effect as well. Then moving on to the pathways, we have 3 new pathways. We have this pathway here, which is the pathway from Winter Park. We have a snow pathway here that is just a plain white pathway, as well as we have a sleigh pathway that looks like a sleigh has gone through, right? Now, I'm just gonna be breezing through all of these because there's a lot of different props to like go through, guys. And of course, I will go more in detail with all of these props like when I create my next video. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and place down all the props. That way you guys can go ahead and see them all on the map. All right, so here are all of the new props that are currently in the game. So starting up here, we have a small spruce tree. We have all of these ornaments. We have a candy cane. We have the water fountain from Winter Park. We have the capybara. We have this weird color changing prop right here. The Christmas tree and the penguin. We also have a polar bear. We have a capybara. We have a bunch of different ice platforms. We have ice grass. We have the mistletoe. We have a bunch of ice pillars, a bunch of different colors, presents. We have a gingerbread man. We have a new house. We have a couple of different trees here. We also have these 3 like ice shanties. We have 2 sleighs, one with a monkey and one without. We have a fish sign. We have a tree with no leaves. We have a couple of background effects. We have like I don't even know what to call this. Like, this is kind of like a walking path or like snow coming down from the sky. We have this like snow thing. I'm not exactly sure what it is, but we have this. We also have like an erupting volcano here. We have the smoke effect, as well as we have this water effect too. And of course, we have a couple of new rocks. We have a couple of new like smaller props here. And then we have a couple of snowman prop as well. So that's gonna do it for all of the props. Let's go ahead and move on to the stamps. So there's not as many stamps, but we do have quite the new selection of stamps that we can choose from. So we have a couple of leaves. We have a couple of like ice piles, a couple of snow piles. We have these like little white dots that I'm not exactly sure what to use for, but I can definitely think of something to use them for in the future. We have a couple of snow piles. We have like a sleigh drift. And then we have these like light things as well. So these light things are actually pretty sweet because this is going to allow us to like create some color in our backgrounds, especially with like 3D creations. So this is already going to add so much detail to our maps with just these 3 new stamps. And then the next thing that we need to go ahead and cover, we have an autumn area that looks pretty solid. We have a new area that looks like this. And I almost forgot that we can actually like make it so the areas are square now. And then we can also turn it back to a circle as well. So I thought this was something that is really, really cool that they added to the new update. So we can like kind of have a little bit more precise placement with our areas. We have the snow area. We also have an ice area. We have this black area that has like nothing to it except for like a plain black background. So now we no longer need to spam like the dark shade anymore because now we have this like slate background that's gonna look really, really cool. And it looks like we also have another water background as well. This water background, it almost looked a little bit translucent there, but I actually kind of like the way that looks. It almost has like an artistic look to it. So we can definitely come up with some really cool things to do with this. Oh, dude, I actually already know. This is gonna be like dark water. Like we have the light water, and then within the light water, we can have like little dark spots. Oh, that's gonna look so cool. And then with these like dark spots, we can add a little bit of shade around the outside to kind of make it blend into the map a little bit better. That's gonna be so cool, guys. But all right, dudes, that's gonna about cover it for all of the new props, areas, backgrounds, and stamps and pathways that they added to the BTD6 map editor. Now they do have a special pack that I already bought. It's gonna cost 2,500 monkey money, and the props that are in that pack are all gonna have this like purple background. So just keep that in mind. Like all of the props that have the purple background are props that you need to spend 2,500 monkey money on in order to buy. All right, dudes, normally we would be done, but we still need to go over some nerfs and buffs and all that stuff. So let me go ahead and pull up the BT6 Reddit really quick. All right, so here are the patch notes. So we've already gone over all of the keynotes and features. We've gone over Corvus, we've gone over Glacial Trail, we've gone over the new quests, we've gone over the new achievements, trophy store items, team store items. We really don't need to cover those. We've gone over a bunch of the game changers as well, the bug fixes. So we don't really need to worry about those. Tower specific fixes. We don't need to worry about those. We just need to check out the balance changes. So with the Dart Monkey, the Apex Plasma Master now does bonus damage to ceramics. The Bomb Shooter, the top pathway had its price decreased. Frag bombs no longer changes damage type or change damage type of explosions. I'm not sure what that means. Balloon Crush remains damage type normal. Recursive Cluster fortified damage reduced from Oh wait, no, they increase his damage, but fortified damage is reduced. So I think that just means that the recursive cluster is going to do a little bit less damage in the late game. Ice shard damage is now uncapped, allowing for buffs. So now we can buff the ice shards. Super brittle ice shards damage increased from 2 to 5. Super brittle number of ice shards increased from 3 to 6. Arctic wind slow reduced from 50 to 40%. Absolute zero slow zone unchanged. Okay, so not really too important. Full auto shrapnel gains bonus damage. Oh, dude, that means that we can now go for the middle pathway, and the 024 sniper monkey is going to do a bonus damage to Moab balloons. Aircraft carrier price decreased from 7,200 to 6,900, and the carrier flagship's price got reduced by $500 as well. Never miss projectile distance increased from 4,500 to 600. Wait, what? So does this mean that the Never Miss just got buffed? Papanaw, looks like Papanaw got nerfed because of the last update was a little bit too much. Let me see. So Robo Monkey looks like he got a little bit of a nerf, and then Detector seems to be the same. Distraction, blowback, Ninja Monkey. So, okay, so blowback range is decreased, it looks like. Distance applies to ceramics at 0.5. I have no idea what any of this means, guys. I'm sorry. Let me see. Flash bomb distance change increased from 15 to 30%. So that means the flash bomb is going to be able to stun more balloons. 130 unstable concoction cross path increases. Okay, so I'm not going to worry too much about like stuff that really isn't game changing. Monkey Bank had a price decrease, along with the IMF loan also had a price decrease as well. The Carpet Spikes as well as the Moab Shredder, they both had a nerf as well, which I kind of saw coming because the Carpet Spikes was actually pretty strong. Beast Sandal reposition cooldown reduced from 5 to 3 seconds, not too bad. Orca knockback merge bonus increase from 2 to 3. Gyre Falcon Moab Pierce penalty increased from 14 to 29. So I'm not exactly sure how much that's gonna change. Azili had a massive buff to her damage over time, and now it's doubled. So Azili's gonna do way more damage now. But it looks like her damage over time, Moab damage, got nerfed a little bit from 28 down to 25. Brickle Pickle can attack a little bit faster. Gary's Hot Tamale will now inherit camo detection from towers that have innate camo detection. So that's not too bad. And then the fire will follow. Ooh, that's actually pretty big. That's actually kind of cool. So this is going to allow people who create maps in BT6 to actually like make a little bit of money with their creations. So now people will actually be able to like tip monkey money or something to players who create maps. I think that's kind of cool. So now in order to get access to this, you need to be registered on the nexus.gg, I believe, and then your account needs to be linked to your nexus.gg, and then you'll be able to make a little bit of money from people playing on your maps. I think that's what this is all saying here. So that's kind of cool. So now they're adding a little bit of a way for people who play Bloons TD6 to make a little bit of money with their game. So this final statement here is pretty interesting. If you guys don't know what this means, what it means is that Ninja Kiwi is going to invest more time, resources, and money into making BT6 like a one-stop shop. Like instead of like coming out with a BTD7, I think they want to turn BT6 into like a Gary's Mod type of game where you're going to be able to do everything in Bloons TD6. You're going to be able to create mods. You're going to be able to, I don't want to say create servers, but you're going to be able to like create your own maps, like make a little bit of extra money on the side. Like there is so much that this like small statement here means. So what they're going to be doing is they're going to be going full tilt on BT6, adding more and more content to Bloons TD6 opposed to working on a BT7. So what this means is that if there is a BT7, BT7 won't happen for like the next 10 years because they're going to be putting everything into a BT6 and basically making it like the perfect tower defense game. And it's going to be revolving heavily around the community as far as like mods are concerned and like map creations, odysseys, boss events. Like there is so much more that Ninja Kiwi can do, and I already know they're working on a bunch of different stuff. Like this is crazy, guys. But all right, dudes, that's gonna do it for the balance changes as well as patch notes. But anyways, dudes, if you guys made it this far in the video, I just want to say thank you guys so much for watching. I really appreciate it. But anyways, dudes, that's going to do it for the video. If you guys enjoyed the video, make sure you guys hit that like button. Also, if you guys are new around here, don't forget to subscribe as well because I do upload daily BT6 content. But anyways, guys, again, thanks for watching, and I'll see you dudes in the next one.